welcome to another episode of Vanished Voices. Tonight we are going to talk about the case of Kathy and Samantha Netherland. They were brutally murdered in their home in 2014. Their killer was never found. But let's get into it. Kathy and Samantha were murdered the Monday after Easter in 2014 in Bardstown, Kentucky. Another Bardstown, Kentucky murder, unsolved. And I've got my notes up in front of me here, so I'll be looking at those every once in a while because I want to make sure I cover everything for you guys. So, they'd already been through a lot before they were even attacked. Just before that, I'm not quite sure the exact timeline there. Kathy's husband and Samantha's father died of cancer. So it was just Kathy and Samantha. Kathy was a special education teacher at the local elementary school. Samantha was a 16-year-old sophomore at Bardstown High School. No one ever heard anything bad about Kathy or Samantha. Police actually stated that they were loved by everyone that knew them. They really was just trying to make things better after losing Mr. Netherland. Samantha was just a typical teen. She was getting ready for prom. Just the typical teenage stuff. No sign of any person having anything against them. No. The reputation made it strange because what was happened was, of course, they would have been out of school on that Monday because of Easter, which is typical. Easter Monday is kind of what they call it in those schools. I know around here we're out on that Monday following Easter. But on Tuesday, Kathy didn't show up to work, which was kind of odd because I guess she was pretty regular. She didn't miss work. She was going to be out sick or something. She always called, so it was kind of strange for them not to have heard from her. So when the police went, I've gotten a couple different stories. One says that her work called her, Kathy, I guess they tried to get a hold of Kathy, no answer. So they called her father, which was probably listed as probably an emergency contact. I know I work for the school and we have to have an emergency contact wrote down just so they have somebody to call. He showed up. It was pretty shocking. The murders were brutal. Samantha, she'd been stabbed in her throat. She'd been stabbed, hit in the head, blunt force trauma to the head. Her throat was cut. Kathy, the mother, she had knife and bullet wounds. She was shot several times. They both had been beaten. The details found no reason to connect them to any bad people or situations for that matter. They were just typical, your next door neighbor, nice people, never had any problems. There was very few clues to who could have done this. The surveillance footage did, catch a black car near the home that night. It stated that they were murdered around 8 p.m. that night. So but nothing ever. They never knew who was in that car, or if that person in the car was even at the house. Police were never able to find that car or a suspect, so that car just kind of mysteriously disappeared. It's crazy. I know the family I've read, so I've done a lot of reading. When I get ready to do these cases, I do a lot of reading. I want to find out, if they've talked to family, what's going on. And I know the family doesn't feel like their case is getting as much attention as the other cases in Bardstown, and they just don't feel like they're as important. So my job tonight is to get their names out there, let their voices be heard. In a sense, somebody knows something. Somebody has to know something. There was a rumor that it was a gang initiation and that a cell phone scrambler or blocker was used. There was never any proof of that for them at all. I mean, I guess they investigated it, but nothing came about. People do speculate that possible that they might have been connected to the Jason Ellis case, which I talked about on the previous episode, or that a family member maybe had done it. Uh, Samantha's had an older sister, Holly. So Holly has now been left without a mother, without a father, and without her sister. So yeah, we need their voices should be heard. They need to be. We need to keep sharing, and we need to talk about that. We need to get police on that. The family was pretty disappointed when a special prosecutor was assigned. They was hopeful at first, and then they found out that their family wasn't included with that. Jason Ellis, Crystal Rogers, Tommy Ballard was included, but Kathy and Sam were not. I mean, like they say, how it works. Everybody's a suspect until proven otherwise. The daughters cooperated with the police. They've never had any problems with her. I'm going to read a statement that she gave. I miss them more than anybody in the world, Holly Netherland said. No one realizes just how much I wish I could trade places with them. It's pretty serious. I mean, she's lost everything. So, just like the Jason Ellis murder, the community was just shocked. Like, oh my God, another murder? I mean, this was, not even a year, or about a year later? I guess it would have been a little less than a year, but pretty close to the 1 year mark. There was nothing suggested that they died, why they should have died so gruesomely. There was nothing about them. The only link that I could find, and it's not been confirmed by anybody that I could find, is that possibly Kathy taught Jason Ellis's son, who has reportedly had Down syndrome. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm just kind of what I've read on the case. Nobody's really confirmed that. So about 7 months after that, their home was just sold. It was sold at auction. A new playground was dedicated in Kathy's name the next year. But like we know, their murders weren't the last to happen in Bardstown. You had the Ballard family and Crystal Roger. They all done it. They were next. So let's talk about how they were, the graphic details. According to the death certificates, 48-year-old Kathy Netherland was shot multiple times. Her 16-year-old daughter Samantha was beaten in the head. Both of them had cuts to their necks. Do you recall reading that Kathy was also tied and bound to a chair? So, I mean, that made police wonder, made it looked like it was personal, but they haven't ruled it out. They even made the remark that it's a good possibility that it was personal. Um, it was around 8 p.m. on April the 21st. It was in the Botland community. I'm guessing that's like a subdivision area. And their bodies were discovered by a family member. They did say that. So Samantha was a sophomore. One of the troopers said that they have several detectives that were working the case and following leads. Just nobody's been ruled out as a suspect. They're leaning toward the theory that multiple people may have been involved. And I think the family kind of maybe feels that way as well, because there's no way, they said there's no way that Kathy would have sat and let something happen to her daughter. And they said there would have been no way that Samantha would have not tried to call for help. One person couldn't have detained them both at the same time. I haven't found where there's any sign of forced entry into the home. So they do believe that there was a black Chevy Impala. It was traveling north on US 150 from the Botland area into Bardstown. So this is just a little bit outside of Bardstown, a little bit. It's considered Bardstown, but I guess it was like on the outskirts of Bardstown. They said, maybe they're the ones involved. Maybe they're responsible. Anything, I mean, if you know anything, seen anything, any of this rings a bell, please don't hesitate. Call the police, call and report. You never know how a little small detail could be the break for this family and to help get them some peace. So anyone that owns, had access to, or knows someone who is operating a 2006 to 2013 model year Chevy Impala matching the photograph, which we will attach to the video. On April 21st, she called Kentucky State Police, and I'm going to give you that number, and I'll repeat it. It's 270-766-5078. Let's see. Like I said, let's keep getting their names out there. Let's make sure that they don't get forgotten. They don't get pushed on and just because maybe they don't have a direct link to the other cases doesn't mean there's not a link to the other cases. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. We don't know. But the key is we want to find, the family needs some kind of answers. And if you share it, make sure you share with Justice for Kathy and Samantha. That's how we keep getting their name out there. There's a Facebook page also called Justice for Kathy and Samantha. We can share that link in the description for you. Go like the page, keep updates, and like I said, by all means, if you suspect anything at all. So many rumors that's been spread, and there's stories on the Facebook page. I'm not going to bother with reading these rumors, and the families definitely, if they hear this stuff, they ask people, well, show me proof. Prove this to me. I mean, Kathy was a widow, so, let's, And well, one of the things that was rumored was that Kathy was having an affair. Well, she wasn't really having an affair. She was a widow. Unless they are accusing her of having an affair before her husband died. The family doesn't believe that. But, like they said, that would give them some kind of peace if there was some kind of mystery man out there that would come forward and be like, it may give them some kind of peace. But like they said, it's just speculation. There's no truth to it. I mean, that was true at all. So rumors did develop that, as far as the family knows, Kathy did not teach Officer Ellis's children, and Samantha did not babysit his or Crystal Rogers' children. So they don't know if there's really a connection. Of course, that's a lot of times, though, with the teachers, they may not be able, they can't, especially if it's a special education student, they can't discuss details with family. They can't go and say, hey, guess what Johnny did today. That's kind of, that's a privacy policy that we have to follow, especially when it comes to things like that. I mean, they don't know of any connection, but that doesn't mean there's not a connection. All of the families, all of them, they all want answers. I mean, you lose a family member, you want to know what happened, especially so brutally. The family, let's see. So on Saturday, Samantha sent a text to someone. She said, this is the dress Sam picked. Okay, Kathy sent that message of Sam in her prom dress. I'm not sure if that was to the sister or if that was to the aunt of Samantha. I want to read about the gang initiation that was never really confirmed. Within and the 4 years immediately following, that there was no suspects or possible motives, but an anonymous prison inmate, that's where that information come from, claimed that Kathy and Samantha were killed during a gang initiation. And when I guess he talked to a reporter, Stephanie Bauer, that was the reporter that he spoke to. So when she pressed him for details about how he knew this was a gang initiation, he said he knew they was tortured. Now they were tied to their chairs, so I guess they were both bound to their chairs. One of them had a throat slit, they were stabbed, one was shot, and trinkets were taken as trophies. They also said that a cell phone jammer was placed at the Netherlands front door to kill all the signal in the house. So they went and talked to a retired homicide detective, and they met with Holly. Holly wasn't able to confirm this information, the claims. She said the theories about the gang initiation and trophies being taken from the crime scene were possible. She said that was news to her about the cell phone jammer. She had not heard anything about that. That was never brought up during any of the investigations. Nothing was ever said about a cell phone jammer. So, was it possible? I guess it's possible, but they don't know for sure. Another thing that kind of struck Holly was that the torture and that they endured. She said that was just, I guess the police asked her about where the chairs were normally in the house, and she's just not comfortable talking about it. I mean, you can't blame her. That's just not comfortable. I mean, how they died is not at the forefront of the family's mind. Who did it? That's what they want. They want answers. They want to know. She wants to know what happened to her mom. She wants to know what happened to her sister. Just in a few years' time, Bardstown went from this quiet little town to all of these people being murdered with no answers. No, all these cases were unsolved. The only one that there's even a inkling of hope is the Crystal Rogers and the Tommy Ballard case. But still, nobody's been convicted of those crimes either. I mean, 2013, you had Jason Ellis. 2014, you had Kathy and Samantha. 2015, Crystal was presumed dead and was missing. In 2016, her father was killed. So all within a time frame. But you're going to find out in my next episode that they're not the only cases. There's still 3 other cases unsolved in Bardstown. A couple of them are within a year or so of these. And the other one was in 1990. So that one may be a little bit more out there for that one to be connected, but we're going to look into the other 2 cases in my next episode. Well, I'm going to cover all 3 of them in the next one that I do, but we're going to go into more detail. Then I've got a couple other cases that I'm working on that are more current, not necessarily cold cases. One's pretty recent, one's kind of a cold case. Yeah, it's 2019, so that's a cold case. So I'm working on that one. I've got another one that's pretty recent. I've got quite a few cases that I'm digging into. So I try to do a lot of my research through on the weekends or in the evening. But tonight it's about Kathy and Samantha. If you know anything, if you saw anything, if any of this car rings a bell, even if you think it's not important, you don't know until you call. Your tip could be the opener, what opens up this whole case. Did you know somebody that owned a Chevy Impala in that area? Did you live there during that time? You heard somebody talking about it. I know you would think they could run, but they don't even know if it was. I don't think there was a registration or anything confirmed or anything where they would have been able to find out who it was. One out of all of them, they say, is the most brutal. I mean, at the time, it was a town of 13,000 people, so it's not that big of a town. And like I said, the loved ones just want answers. As do the residents. I mean, all these unsolved cases, the town needs some closure. And like I said, any little thing that you think any little thing could be could be the tip. I mean, you never know. We'll make sure to include pictures of them as well. So the detective that was on the scene at the time is now a state KSP state trooper. I mean, he said when you're talking about how brutal, it's disturbing. Any case you work that you see that violence. Evil is evil, Sharp said. That was his words from him. He said, and like I talked about, this was his quote. It just seemed personal rather than random. But she was, like I said, she was well liked. She was a special education teacher. She was, Samantha was on the academic team. She was in the chorus. There's and the image of the car didn't come out for about a week after the murders. I do know it was gas station surveillance. Is about a half a mile from the home. They believe this car. They really truly believe this car is the key. They just, nothing's come about. They couldn't find it. They can't find who owned it. Nothing. So the biggest thing to think about is, do you know anybody from the Bardstown area that had a Chevy Impala? Anybody that was visiting the Bardstown area that had a Chevy Impala? Black Chevy Impala at that. I know, probably a pretty popular car, but if that rings a bell to you at all, make that call. Like I said, there's a $50,000 reward for the information leading to the arrest in this case. And one more time, the number for the state police is 270-766-5078. If you know anything, if you've heard anything jogs your memory that we've discussed, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and make that call. Let's help find justice for Kathy and Samantha. Their family deserves answers as well as all the rest of the families. So keep pushing it. Keep pushing their names out there. Make sure if you share this video, you share with justice for Samantha and Kathy, or Kathy and Samantha, either way. And if you want me to continue, if you like seeing these videos and you like these cases and being updated, make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when new episodes are released. Subscribe, like, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts from what you've heard? Do you think it's random? Do you think it's connected? And you can also send an email to unresolvedmysteries@gmail.com. That is my email address for my Vanished Voices Facebook page. Just like, share, and just keep pushing the names out there. And once again, make sure you join their page. And I'm going to tell you what it is one last time. Justice for Kathy and Samantha. And there's a picture of them as the cover photo, and the profile picture, the picture of the suspected car. That was it's a $50,000 reward. Don't do it for the money. Don't make up stuff. Don't do it for the money. Do it for the right reasons. Do it to give this family closure. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time with the rest of the Bardstown cases.